while we do that. Morning, everybody, and welcome to District 100 Officer Training for specifically the Vice President Public Relations role. As Patrick mentioned, I am a longtime Toastmaster. I am also a member of Dungeons and Toast with Patrick and with Andrew. All three of us come from the same club. In 2021, I was awarded President of the Year, which I'm quite proud of because that was the year that, of course, COVID hit, and we had to transition from being a in-person corporate club to being an online corporate club, and we did quite well at that. And I am also the webmaster for Dungeons and Toast, which is dungeonsandtoast.com if you happen to get curious. Oh, but before we get started, I'd like to learn a little bit more about the rest of you. I know that some of you are not feeling up to turning on your camera, and that's okay, but could you please use the raise your hand feature in Zoom if you can't raise your hand in person? Could you please raise your hand if you have been in Toastmasters for less than a year? Have any newer Toastmasters here today? Okay, that means we are all at least somewhat welcome, Tracy. That's a very happy thing. Can you please raise your hand if you have served as Vice President Public Relations before? Any of you been in this role before? Okay, Michelle. What? And could you please raise your hand if you happen to be in more than one Toastmasters club? All right. Excellent. Thank you for joining me this morning. You could be doing something involving mimosas, but instead chosen to be here with me in service of your club. So thank you. That means a lot. And I'm sure your club appreciates your participation and becoming better in your role. This is a look at the agenda we're going to use today. Because I value your time and I myself have trained as VPPR a time or two, I've tried to include material for both new VPPRs and people who have been in the role a time or two. Today, we're going to review the essential tasks of the VPPR. Of course, that's very important. I will briefly mention the Toastmasters brand guidelines and the club hierarchy and look at various promotional channels you have available. For the second half of today's meeting, we're going to focus on opportunities for differentiation. We will talk about ways to improve your club website, explore the use of video and photo, and consider a marketing touchstone called a club mantra. Okay, so the role of the VPPR. Obviously, the most important thing that you do as a VPPR is to promote your club. You are the voice of your club to the outside world. Your mission is to attract guests by sharing who you are, what your club does, what makes it special, and why it's a great place to grow. You should ask yourself, if I were a guest seeing this for the first time, would I be intrigued enough to visit? But you also have the opportunity to help keep your members informed and engaged. It's not just about bringing people into your club, it's also about keeping your current members connected. A quick update about the next themed meeting, or a fun shout out to a member who completed a level, or even sharing a speech photo. These things build anticipation and a sense of belonging. They will help you retain those members that are so valuable that they've been in your club for a while. Of course, it's fun to attract new members as well. That is the primary purpose of our public relations / marketing efforts. But those members that have been in your club a while help make your club vibrant and strong. We'll also maintain your presence across multiple social media platforms. So that includes making sure your website is up to date, making sure your social media presences are welcoming, and also that they reflect the unique personality of your club. Now, social media doesn't have to be overwhelming. The right photo, caption, and URL for more information can go a long way. And be sure, I need to mention this, be sure that your contact information on the Toastmasters website is up to date and correct, because you would hate to lose out on the opportunity for a guest to visit your club simply because you didn't realize that maybe your URL has changed or your meeting time has changed, or maybe you've transitioned from being online only to in-person only because, COVID is over now. And finally, the branding standards. You don't have to design everything from scratch. You can use the logo, some templates and colors that Toastmasters already provides to create consistency. And we're going to briefly talk about the branding guidelines today. Toastmasters International has detailed guidelines about the way you can use their logo, what colors are considered brand compliant. I'm sure even if you are newer, you've probably noticed an excess of this blue color that you see behind Michelle and that red color that you see on the little tagline beside me that says Google Toastmasters Brand Manual. Those are the two primary colors that Toastmasters encourages us to use. That doesn't mean that you are limited only to those colors. They have, in fact, started allowing us to use shades and tints of those colors, so you don't have to only use that exact maroon and that exact blue. They've allowed us to start using gradients of those colors, which is nice. You have a lot more flexibility, however, with the information you present within your meeting, because the material you present within your meeting doesn't have to follow brand guidelines. So if you're doing a themed meeting about visiting a tropical island, you certainly don't have to use the blue and the maroon. You can use whatever colors you'd like and make it fun. However, that being said, if you are going to advertise, for example, an open house and you're creating flyers to promote that event, please do use the Toastmasters guidelines, including their colors, font, and follow the rules for using the logo, because Toastmasters wants us to create consistency across our messaging. Welcome, Patrick. I see you're here to spy on us and make sure I'm doing my job. All right, briefly, I want to talk about the officer hierarchy, and this is really for the benefit of anybody that's new to this role. The officer hierarchy only comes into play during the presiding officer section of your meeting, which is your business section. And what that means is it's the person who's responsible for closing out the meeting at the end. And as Vice President of Public Relations, we are fortunate in that 3 people have to be absent before that becomes our job. We are right behind the Vice President membership in terms of hierarchy. So if you happen to be there and your President, VPE, and VPM are missing, it would be your role to conduct any club business and close out your promotional channels. As I mentioned, we are not just public relations, but we do a lot of marketing. And I think I would say it's probably majority marketing, because when Toastmasters was originally created, we did things like issue press releases. And I don't know about you, but I have no idea how to issue a press release. And honestly, I don't want to learn. Uh, but these are a few of the promotional channels that we have available to us. These are mostly social media, but it also includes your club's website. Your club should hopefully have a Facebook page where you can share different things that your club has been doing. And of course, you have social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, what used to be Twitter and is now called X. We also have 2 event planning platforms called Meetup and Eventbrite, YouTube, which is how I found my current club, and you have the option to create a newsletter. Now, don't let this intimidate you. I know that's a lot of channels to keep up with. You don't have to use all of these channels. Some of them are sort of set it and forget it. Meetup and Eventbrite, for example, I think you can set up a regularly scheduled meeting, and you could just have that listing that you revisit once a year to make sure that it's up to date, if that works for you. Another option, if you are lucky enough to have a team on your VPPR committee, which is, I'm very glad that my club is doing that this year, you can divide and conquer. Maybe one member is responsible for editing and posting videos to YouTube. Another heads up a bi-monthly newsletter, and another one handles updates to the club website. If you divide and conquer, you will not only get better at fewer things, so you will be more focused, but you won't have to spend as much time diverting your attention in a million different directions all at once. If you are, however, the only PR person, just prioritize. What works best for you, where your potential guests might congregate. Okay, that concludes the portion of our meeting that I wanted to dedicate to the required areas of training. If it's all right with you guys, I'd like to talk instead about differentiation. Differentiation, in other words, how is your club different from another club? Before COVID, oh, Michelle, did you have a question?
We have an example of how our club is different from other clubs.
Yeah,
One is that we do round robin evaluations, and we also ask the member to evaluate themselves. How did they feel they did?
that is awesome. I've been to a club that did round robin evaluations, and I found I got so much out of getting all of those different opinions. Now, when you do round robin, is it everyone that participates, or do you have a handful of people designated for giving feedback?
We just do it by hand. So if someone has a comment, then they can do that. They can give the update.
Very cool. And I like the idea of evaluating yourself. I think as a newer person, I would find that a little intimidating, at least the first time, but
It plays
after
by itself.
after
Hit
seeing
the,
other people
hit
do it,
this.
I imagine it would be, very welcoming. Before COVID-19, my company had two clubs. Uh, Differentiation between the two clubs was primarily based on the location and as a byproduct, the type of person who joined each club. One of our two clubs, being centered in a medical research building, catered more toward faculty and postdoctoral fellows. The other, being located in an administrative building, was primarily comprised of information systems individuals and human resources. Then COVID hit, and suddenly it no longer mattered where anyone was on campus because everyone was meeting strictly online. My company actually sent us all home at the very beginning of the pandemic. Now, the faculty club ended up folding, probably because the club that included IT had an easier time transitioning to online meetings. We had a lot of people that were very techy. Now, with everyone meeting online, location and proximity, which is how Toastmasters clubs have traditionally defined and differentiated themselves, those things were no longer sufficient to make one club different from another. We were all the same. We were all a sea of red. All online clubs were trying to recruit the same individuals. This made finding a way to set your club apart more important. Now, without violating the Toastmasters brand guidelines, let's talk about some ways that you can make your club stand out. I like what Michelle shared there, and so I would like to invite some of you to also consider what is a way that your club makes your club seem different? Anybody have anything they would like to share? Okay, well then we'll just jump into some of these efforts and maybe something will occur to you over the course of the next little bit. Okay, first things first. Amp up your website. Your website doesn't have to be super boring. Now, Toastmasters gives us a free website through freetoasthost.com that is a little bit perhaps dated, but you still have the opportunity to make improvements to it, including photo and video. I would encourage you very strongly, if you haven't already, to register a custom URL for your club. And you can use that URL to point to your Free Toast Host website or wherever your website is. And it will make it much more appealing to potential guests if your URL is something like, I don't know, uh, superclubmorningtime.com versus 11373.toastmost or freetoasthost.com. A custom URL seems a lot more professional. Now, it doesn't come without cost. A custom URL for a .com usually will run your club about $18 a year. If you choose to instead register a .org address. That will be about $12 to $14 a year. And I think that when we registered dnt.club, .club is another newer extension you can purchase for our website. I think that was about $10 a year. So right now we maintain two URLs at a cost of about $28 per year that we just build into our budget. Another benefit of having the nice website is you can get a QR code. You know what a QR code looks like? I should have put an example on here. It's one of those white squares with a bunch of little black squares inside of it. You might have gotten familiar with it at restaurants during COVID because they wanted to go to contactless menu ordering. You can use your phone camera, scan the code, and it will automatically pop up a prompt for you to visit the website. This is really nice for printed flyers. So if you're going to hang up a flyer in your work's break room, be sure to create a QR code to make it really easy for people. Instead of having to type on their phone a longer URL, they can just scan your QR code. And I've provided here a resource that you can use to generate a QR code completely free. The nice thing is if you point that QR code to a page that lists your upcoming meetings, you never have to update it. So consider, where do I want guests to land on my website, and then create your QR code to point to that section. Another thing that you can do is to create a guest book. A guest book can be a physical guest book, like those that you have probably seen at weddings, or sometimes bed and breakfasts will include a guest book, or it can be something that's online. In fact, I'm going to briefly show the guest book that my club, Dungeons and Toast, has. You can see here that we have the opportunity for guests to sign in and indicate, what they thought of our meetings, but we also take the opportunity to provide testimonials on our guest book, and we talk about what makes our club different. We invite anyone who's visiting to ask us a question or just to jump in and fill out an application if they're ready. We list our upcoming meetings, and then we talk about the Pathways program and the different paths and what they're all about. So your guest book could be, if it's online, you can include all sorts of things. Now, if you're meeting in person, Toastmasters actually provides a guest packet that you can download through their marketing section. I, however, would encourage you to add to that guest packet, because that guest packet, as you might guess, makes all clubs look the same, because we're all starting from there. Consider adding a page about what makes your club different. Consider including a reminder card about your meeting time, for example. Now, I have briefly mentioned the freetoasthost.com website, which allows clubs to easily create a website for their club. However, you're not limited to only using Free Toast Host. If you happen to have somebody in your club, maybe it's you, who's a little bit more tech savvy, I want to encourage you to consider a different option called Toastmost. Toastmost is a third-party developed platform that was created by David Carr, and it allows you have two options. The first option is to host directly with Free Toast Host. It's not very much. I think when I looked at it, it was $60 a year, and it includes 3 months free. Now, I just want to provide a disclaimer that I'm not getting paid to tell you about this option. I just happen to really like it. It's made my club website a lot better. It includes branded themes, and it provides you all the same functionality that you get from Free Toast Host in terms of being able to sign up for your meetings and to have a calendar of meetings. Now, that is the hosted option at toastmost.org. But if you happen to have somebody who's particularly tech savvy, somebody maybe who is in IT, you can actually use the plugin that David created called RSVP Maker for Toastmasters to install on your own WordPress website. And that is the option that Dungeons and Toast uses. And that is why we are able to provide so many nice features to our club members, because we have total control of our website and the ability to add whatever functionality you want. So I would encourage you to consider that for your club. It's a very nice option, and David does all of that effort, and gives away the free version of the self-help hosted version of RSVP Maker totally free, which is great. Now, another way that you can differentiate your club from another club is to consider using video. Now, I know that sounds a little intimidating, but we're going to talk about ways to use video to improve your club meetings and to help promote all the fun things that you do. If you are meeting online, Zoom makes it extremely easy to record a meeting. We're doing that right now. And you can choose to either record that meeting to the cloud, which means the recording would go up to Zoom's servers, or you can record it on your own computer. Now, the cloud recording is very limited in terms of how much storage space they give you at the baseline level. So I do encourage you instead to record to your computer rather than the cloud, and then just upload that video to a repository where you can save all your recordings. I think that if you record to cloud at the baseline level, an hour and a half meeting would basically take up all of your space. So I do encourage you to consider recording to your computer instead. Now, if you are meeting in person or hybrid, invest in a video tripod and remote. You don't have to have a big fancy camera. You can use an iPhone if that's all you have. But obviously, the better your camera, the better the quality of your video. So what you're looking for is videos that you can link to when you're mentioning a particular member's accomplishments. So if somebody gives a great speech, hopefully you're recording every meeting, but even if you didn't record it that time, ask them to deliver it again so that you can record it for promotional purposes. If you have your own domain URL, which is something we just talked about, getting a custom URL, you can even set up a URL to redirect to a page with videos, just videos. Maybe it's all the best of 2024 from your club. So that is something to think about. Oh, I should mention that if you are going to record your meetings, we'll want to ask your members, first of all, if you're ever going to share a recording of somebody, make sure that you talk to them first, make sure that they're okay with it, and ask them to fill out the Toastmasters video release. It's a PDF that Toastmasters provides to make it easy to essentially say, I'm okay with my likeness, and I recognize that you can download it through the website, even if I didn't realize it at the time, but I'm okay. I'm okay with that. So if you are going to do that, make sure that you get permission and make sure that you take care of the rights and permissions with the Toastmasters video. Video editing, I know that might sound intimidating, but it can actually be quite simple because you probably aren't looking to add any special effects, probably not setting up multiple audio tracks, probably not even splicing together an assortment of video clips. All you need in order to use video is to set a start point, set a stop point, trim everything else off either end, and then export that clip, that little trimmed down video that you've created, to a format that you can upload, usually to somewhere like YouTube. Now that format will most likely be MP4. And you might have heard of MP3. MP3 is an audio file. MP4 just means audio plus the video, so MP4. In fact, both major operating systems include a video editor with these capabilities. If you have Windows 10 or 11, it's called Video Editor. And if you happen to be using a Mac, it's called iMovie. So it won't take you very long to learn this, and there's tons of YouTube videos about how to use both of those programs because they are free and they do come with your computer already. So now that you've got some videos, what do you do with them? You can use your favorite video clips in so many different places. For example, post them on YouTube. share it on the front page of your club website, or take a still photo from the video and include that in your newsletter with a link for readers to watch the whole video. Keep an ear out for topics that would be most appealing to potential guests. Not not just any speech, perhaps, but maybe there's one that you think would attract more people than others. So I encourage you to use those primarily because, your time is limited and you don't want to be editing every speech. Focus on the ones that will give you the biggest bang for your buck, the most return on your investment of time. Michelle, are you speaking? I see your
Oh
mouth
yeah.
moving. Yeah,
If I'd have a quick question
sure.
on the club mailing, if you want to send a video clip to your members, what's the best way to do that?
So my opinion, to entice them to view it is to include a still picture, so a
Hmm.
capture.
Hmm.
You wouldn't be able to embed a video in most cases, but you could use the picture and then link to the video on YouTube.
Okay,
YouTube,
so
I'm sorry, go ahead.
you have to send a link, but not the actual video.
Yes, that's right.
Okay,
Yes.
thank
I,
you.
I mentioned YouTube because YouTube, allows you to host videos for free,
Mhm.
and your club can set up its own YouTube channel so that members and guests can browse all the best of your club, what your club has to offer. Similar to video, let's talk about photo. Photos is certainly more approachable, I would say. Everybody's got a camera in their pocket these days. Take still photos when the opportunity presents itself. Naturally, take photos of awards being given or of members delivering speeches, or maybe members raising their hand to volunteer for a table topic at a meeting. But also look for opportunities to take photos of your members outside of club meetings when they're enjoying social opportunities like eating a meal together. Maybe your club has an annual get together where they meet at a restaurant. Definitely take photos then, or if they're playing board games, because these type of photos convey a sense of warmth to your potential guests. Your club is more than just professional development. It's a place where people can hope to make and keep friends. So look for those opportunities to make your club seem like the warm and welcoming place that I hope it is. And these are some of the examples of opportunities to take photos, not necessarily inside of your meeting. I like my corporate club used to say, we are your comfort zone. Welcome to your comfort zone. We are all close friends here. I think we used to regularly, when we were meeting in person, we would bring in homemade baked goods, and it just created a very warm and welcoming environment. Okay, the last thing I want to touch on is something called a club mantra. And this is something that I derived from a marketing class that I took as part of an MBA program. Now, when they taught it to us, it was referred to as a brand mantra. And I have kind of repurposed it, retooled it for my own club. And we used it in both my corporate club and my Dungeons and Toast club. It is essentially very simple. It's like a slogan or a motto, 3 to 5 words that capture an organization's essence, like what makes it different. It's essentially a short phrase. You can think of it as a sort of touchstone. Whenever you consider a new effort or new endeavor or new project, you can ask yourself, does this project fit and reinforce our club's mantra? Now, I want you to note that because of Toastmasters branding standards, your club mantra should only be used internally. Don't promote it on your website or put it in social media because we could potentially run afoul of the brand guidelines if we do. I do, however, still think this is a worthy exercise for the touchstone reasons that I just mentioned. Here is an example of a brand mantra for the company where I work. You can't see that last word at the bottom there, but it's history. So it's making cancer history. We have 3 different parts to this mantra. the functional modifier, which is making what we're doing, the descriptive modifier, cancer being the primary purpose of the organization, and then an emotional modifier. Now, you may be wondering, how is history an emotional modifier? But by using the word history, we are conveying a sense of finality, of conviction. We are making cancer history. Now, let's look at, I didn't come up with that one, obviously, or if I did, I would probably make more money. But let's look at the two that we came up with for my other two clubs. So my corporate club was called Spirited Speech Masters. They are still meeting and very, very effective, but I recently cut down to just the one club. But we created the mantra, advancing professional development. So we were advancing, so an action we were taking. The thing we were doing was professional. And then the emotional portion was development. Development evinces a sense of progressivism and growth. So that was our emotional component. Now, for Dungeons and Toast, which is the club that I am currently a member of, we have practicing, engaging, role play. Practicing is the verb, it's the thing that we are doing. Engaging describes what we're doing. And then role play is our emotional component because it represents the emotional values of creativity, safety, and empowerment, because those are things that you get from successful role play. You need to be creative. It needs to feel like a safe space, and it can be quite empowering for somebody who has never done role play to try their hand at it. Now, we can use these club mantras when considering a new initiative to ask the questions, does this advance professional development, or does this further the practice of engaging role play? So consider taking this to your executive committee, this idea, functional, descriptive, emotional, to create a club mantra of your own that you can then use to help improve your targeted marketing efforts. Does this reinforce this central idea of our club? Now, here are some additional resources. The first four here are provided by Toastmasters themselves. I went through the list that they provided and picked out the ones I thought were most helpful, but I've also given you three additional resources, including FreePick. FreePick is a wonderful site with lots of stock photos and great graphics that you can use. All you have to do if you aren't a paid subscriber is to include a link to the site and say, this doesn't belong to us, but it's still a great resource. Later is a wonderful tool that my club uses to schedule its social media posts, maybe even, 2 weeks out. We know we're going to have a special guest and we want to have 2 notices put up on Twitter or Facebook. This will allow you to create your content, upload your images, add your text, and schedule it for a specific day. And you can do multiple platforms at a time, which is really nice. And then finally, I provided the URL for Toastmost, which is that service I mentioned from David Carr. That concludes all of the content that I wanted to share with you today. Now, if you don't mind, I would love to hear from you all about your experiences with VPPR and if you have any questions that you want to cover. Yes, Michelle.
I like to use Canva for flyers. They have so many great templates and you can get real creative with them. I had to learn how to embed the link in there so that it would work. But once you do that, it's not that difficult. And then you can either export it as a JPEG to use on your website or as a PDF so that you can send those to your members. I also post a flyer at our location, which has a lot of people going there. It's called Blossom Market Hall, and it has like 5 different little restaurants on the ground floor. And then the top floor is a gallery, but it's also a meeting room. And they do offer low cost for nonprofits to use the meeting room. So we have our meeting room there and we post our flyer and I do it on Canva. And I think Canva's great. And don't you have some templates for Toastmasters on Canva? I don't remember where they are though.
Yes, that is correct. That Toastmasters does offer lots of different custom, already branded, pre-branded, pre-fonted templates that you can get from Canva. I'm so glad you mentioned Canva because it's just my mind. It's not a tool that I use because I have a background with graphic design, but it is a fantastic clubs with BPPRs that, maybe they're just getting started.
Mhm.
It's a
And a
great
lot
tool.
of them, if you use the free version, you just can't use the paid templates, but there's still a lot of templates. And my company has a paid version, but I was able to get around it by using Snippet, and I would just look for that
Oh,
picture and then snip a copy of it and then um add it to the flyer. If it was a
there.
picture that I really liked, I would
Yeah,
just be able to Google for that type of picture and find one that was similar and then just add it in. So don't be too concerned about the paid version. It's easy to work around it. And you can come up with some really nice flyers, and they have other ways of, you can also use like little banners or Instagram template or different type of templates, not
yeah.
just flyers.
Nice benefit of the social media specific templates that you've just mentioned is that they are already pre-sized for the platform, so they will look their best. Absolutely. It's
Yes.
a great point. Okay, what other tools do some of you use to help promote your club? Do you regularly update your website? Do you try to create an update maybe once a month to make your club seem like it's a living, breathing organization, or do you just have the same front page all the time?
It's nice to change it up. It's nice to put pictures of people smiling and having fun. And I like that idea of yours of taking pictures of people outside of the meeting, like if they're on a couch and they're having fun, playing a game, interacting with each other. I think that would be a great opportunity to put something like that on the website. So I'm going to take you up on that offer. I am too concerned with doing the pictures of the best speaker and the best table topics and the best evaluator with the Toastmaster smiling into the camera, but I'm going to try to change it up now and do some different types of pictures.
Excellent, excellent. Glad to hear that.
Oh, another idea is to get your new members, I mean, guests who are there and
Mhm.
take a picture of just the guests and then post that on the website. Of
Yes, just make sure that
course,
they're okay with that. But yes, I think that's a great idea.
yeah, we have to get their permission first.
Brenda, did you have a question or something you want to share?
Yeah, I'm new to this role. I am going to meet with Johnny to transition into like logins and things like that. She does a great job with our newsletter, but I don't think we really utilize the social media aspect as much right now.
Mhm.
I'm hoping to increase that a little bit, but any other outlets like uh
Well,
locally like that you sometimes consider to say, oh, let me reach out to this local organization or this local newsletter and see if they'll promote us?
sure. Well, the question you need to ask yourself first is, does your club have a targeted focus? Is it
Mhm.
is if it has a targeted focus, that can definitely help you prioritize what organizations to reach out to. For example, my club is for gamers, so we have posted flyers at different gaming shops depending on where our members are, and we've gotten a few visitors that way. Maybe your club has a lot of project managers and you get a lot of speeches about project management, then look for a related organization that might be willing to help you promote that as an option for their members. If your club meets in a certain place, it makes perfect sense to, post a flyer in that place because the people that are there can get there easily, apparently. So definitely look at that.
Okay, thank you.
And as I mentioned, in addition to the social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, X, consider looking at Meetup and Eventbrite so that you can post details of your meeting there, in addition to making sure your meeting details are up to date on the Toastmasters website.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. And thank you for sharing the link to your club, Titan Toastmasters. Brenda has posted that in the chat there. And Brenda, do you want to give maybe your email in the chat as well so that after today's training, if people have any feedback or
Yeah,
suggestions, that would be great. And I will
yes,
certainly
I'm
take.
open to any suggestions on ways to improve.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, so I have a question. Themed meetings. How does your club come up with themes for its meetings? In our club, we have a handful of special events that we have every year that are always going to be a big deal. One of those is St. Patrick's Day. We always do a big thing for St. Patrick's Day. We always do something around Christmas that's, holiday themed of some sort. Let's see what else. Oh, cosplay day, because we are a gaming club, so we have an international cosplay celebration. But in addition to that, our table topics master is the one who's responsible for choosing our meeting theme. And our meeting themes tend to be, really off the wall, fantastical, creative things because we are a gaming club. So, for example, last week was a dragon themed meeting. So it was all about our annual campaign and the characters that we play there. So your table topics master. So my previous club, actually the Toastmaster decided the theme, but I really like the table topics master because that is kind of the meat, especially for guests. The meat of our club, the example of something that you don't have to have come to the club prepared to do, and you do it off the cuff, but it can help define the entire theme of your meeting. It doesn't have to work that way. You could certainly have your Toastmaster declare a theme, but look for injecting fun into your meetings using creative themes. Does anybody have an example of a theme that they've used that they really enjoyed?
I think we did one. It was like a wear a crazy hat.
For Crazy Hat? Yeah.
Hmm.
That's a great one to do online too, because everybody can participate in that easily from comfort of their home if you happen to be an online club. Yeah, that's a good one. What about open houses? Have any of you run an open house yet?
Yes, I think it's fun to have a guest speaker and somebody who's well known or really good in their field or has an interesting topic that you can put on your flyer to capture people's interest will always bring in new guests. So I think we had like 15 guests when we had one of our
Wow,
open houses. So that was one of really good one.
that's
And
fantastic.
our club coach helped us with that. So because we're a struggling club. So I think if you're a struggling club and you have a club coach, they can also help you to re-energize and give your club new ideas.
That's
I-
great.
Is that what the speaker bureau is? Is that where you can reach out and get guest speakers?
Yes, you can get speakers. Michael Alexander is the head of the Speakers Bureau this year, and he can give you some good recommendations. And then you can just search around Toastmasters and look at different people's websites and reach out to them and say, are you available to come to our club for a, 10 to 15-minute presentation or maybe even 20-minute presentation or even to do a Saturday evaluation seminar. That's what we did at one point. We got a lot of guests to our evaluation seminar. So you could just come up with new ideas to entice new members to join.
Okay.
Yeah, a good guest can make all the difference. Since we're a gaming club, we tend to target people in the gaming industry or authors. We've had some fantasy authors present, and it also gives the opportunity to, really target your flyer. Target it to the information that they're going to present because it's a lot more engaging to come in for a specific presentation than to show up for a meeting and you never know what you're going to get, right? So yeah, I totally agree with you that a guest speaker can make a open house feel more special.
I just went to a presentation at work and the person was presenting Make It Stick, and it's a book and it's about getting the emotional context into your message and being able to create a more memorable message. And I highly recommend it because having that emotional connection will really make it more interesting to your people. It's called Making It Stick.
Okay, and you said is that a book?
It's a book, yes. I didn't get
Okay,
the author name, but I know it's called Making It Stick.
that's
It
very
has a
cool.
little piece of duct tape in the middle of the of
I
the
see that.
message.
It's by Peter Brown, looks like, and it's about $11 on Amazon. I will definitely check that out. Thank you for the recommendation. That
You're
seems like
welcome.
very useful to any club trying to get their message out there. That's
And it was
awesome.
not just for clubs, but it's for if you have a message to get to people and you want them to pay attention to it, because we get so many messages during the day, you want to make your message stand out. This is a great book to make your message stand out, whether you're using it for professional or for Toastmasters. So it's just an overall good for enhancing your communication to make that message memorable. I
Excellent.
really can't wait to read it.
Yeah, I'm going to order that myself. Any other questions? I know we only have 30 seconds left, but thank you all so much for your time. Really appreciate it. I hope you got something out of today's session that was more than just what the branding guidelines are.
Yes, you got my brain thinking.
Excellent. And now you can go off and enjoy your mimosas.
Great tips. I can't wait to put them into use on the website and post some better pictures.
Excellent. All right, I will see you guys on the flip.
Website. There's only I'm the one doing that. There's one of me, and there's 560 club officer roles to give credit to. So
Wow.
it does take a minute.
It's going to take your weekend.
It could take that too. I better get some more coffee if it's gonna take
I'll
that long.
say.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Johnny, are all the breakout rooms closed now?
The breakout rooms are all closed.
Thank you. Hope you had a good training, everyone. We have a few brief announcements from Umanga De Silva, our program quality director. You may have heard me talking about how to see that you've got credit for being trained and how to see how your club is doing. I'll drop that link in the chat. Again, please give us at least 24 hours to update this. And I'm going to turn it over to Amanga. And Amanga, I see that Marjorie has her hand raised.
Yes, thank you so much, everyone. I really appreciate your participation today, early morning, 8 o'clock from Pacific time. I'm really happy about that. If you want to contact me for anything, especially if you are belong to the different district, please contact my PQD email. I'm happy to contact your PQD from that district. Also, as Patrick explained about, if you are belong to District 100, don't worry about give it 24 hours, and please check the website in District 100 update for you to get your credit. Oh, Marjorie, I can see you raise your hand. Sorry about that.
Thank you, Amanga. I put my email in chat. In my session, there was a person asking about decorum at a club meeting. If they're still online, I wanted them to send me an email with their question and I can answer it directly. Thank you.
Please get the Marjorie's email from the
chat. Yeah.
Thank you so much. If you have any any question, I'm happy to give you 1 or 2 minutes. Otherwise, we are good. If you please raise your hand if you have any question.
Umanga, I have one. This is Distinguished Toastmaster Abhijit. What I've done over the chat is to share a feedback form so that for people who have attended respective trainings can actually go ahead and fill it up. I missed out personally sending across on the group chat. So if there anybody who would have not filled in one, please feel free to fill it on the group chat. That's the link that would be appearing. And for the respective training roles,
sure.
Be it for the president, VP, you can do though.
Yeah, Patrick,
Thank you.
if it is possible, could you please add the feedback link to the chat? So anyone, thank you. I appreciate. Thank you so much,
I'm sorry,
everyone.
Abhijit did that. I put it in there again. And this is for everyone who attended today. So you can comment about Pat's presentation, your training, anything that you think will help us make it better for you. Sorry, Umanga, back to you.
No worries. So we are very happy to get your feedback. This is really help us to improve the quality of the training and to apply your concern. Thanks again, everyone. You have your rest of the day and have a wonderful weekend. See you again in different time. We are going to have a wonderful learning labs. So my plan is to send the email about that, and then we expect you to join our learning lab too. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.